This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. Competed in nearly 700 PGA Tour events, 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame and the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Welcome into Golf with Jay Delsing. We do this every week, 8 to 10 on Sunday mornings. And with Jay Delsing, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Happy holidays, everyone. Later in the show, we're going to go through probably 8 to 10 of the top stories this past season on the PGA Tour, really golf stories. We're also going to visit with Nathan Charnes, who is the GM at Winghaven Country Club, the VP of the PGA of America. He will be in studio with us. Jay, I hope you had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you.
Absolutely, Danny. The best to you, Libby, and the kids. And this is absolutely a great time of year. Not a whole lot of golf going on, but we're talking golf, and we can go inside. We can sim golf. We can figure out another way. But this is a super cool time of year, and I'm also really excited to have Nathan on the show. You know, Danny, I just got my PGA of America magazine, and on the cover is Mr. 44, Don Ray. We've had him on the show. He'll be on again, but he is the president. That means our buddy Nathan has gone from the national secretary to the national VP. In addition to all of his other things of being a dad, running Winghaven and all of that. And it's what's interesting, Danny, is let's distinguish again the difference between the PGA Tour and the PGA of America. So the PGA Tour is the entity that runs professional golf tournaments. Okay. So like I always wanted to get my PGA Tour card so that I could be a PGA Tour member. That's one entity. The PGA of America, Danny, does everything else, literally. They're 30 to 31,000 members strong across the country, driving ranges, country clubs, municipal courses. They've got a vast network of men and women that are taking care of the game, growing the game, and taking care of us. And from the time I was a little kid, some PGA Gateway PGA member was taking care of the tournaments I was playing in, taking care of me, running these events, and it was just spectacular. And I am proud that I'm a member, and actually, Danny, a life member of both PGA Tour and PGA of America. And a lot of the guys did not always keep their PGA of America membership, and I was really, it surprised me, but I'm proud to be part of them. Part of that organization. Allie Wells, our dear friend, is the executive director here in the Gateway section, and she's kind of like our commissioner here in the Midwest. You know, she's taking care of everything and running stuff and keeping people in line, and she's just delightful. Yeah,
those that are part of the PGA of America, they're doing everything. They're giving lessons. They're picking up balls. They're making sure the schedules go right with tournaments at particular clubs. I mean, these men and women are doing everything with the Gateway section.
Danny, no doubt. I mean, they're there early in the morning and they shut her down at night. I mean, it is long, long days. Our good friend Joe Schwent said, to a lot of these young men and women that are getting involved in this part of the business, you have to understand that when everybody else takes off, we work. So 4th of July, this is super cool. Guess what? We're running a tournament.
Memorial Day, Labor Day.
Yeah, and so God bless these guys, man. I mean, they just have such a heart for service and for the game, and that combination, man, is super cool.
So they hear, those that are listening, Gateway section.
Yeah.
And they go, well, what is the Gateway section? What is that all about? Maybe you can explain that.
Yeah, Danny, it's great point, and thanks for bringing that up. So the country is separated into 41 or 42 different regions, and each region has a title, and ours is the Gateway section because of the Gateway Arch and our location in the Midwest. And our territory, I'm not exactly specific on this, but it goes, we have part of Central Illinois and Southern Illinois. We've got this greater St. Louis area, and we don't have all of Missouri, but we've got a good portion of Missouri. And so a lot of that falls under Allie Wells's guidance, and thank God, because Danny, I would say in the last 10 to 15 years, the Gateway section has shot up into basically the ranks of all of the sections in the country. And Nathan, I was with a bunch of guys and gals last week, and Nathan was talking about how the Gateway section is held in such high regard, and that points directly to Allie and to the folks around her and her team for kind of keeping us all together and keeping us organized.
It also makes me think of John DePriest, who's done just remarkable things, charitable efforts, and what he has done to be recognized over at Sunset Hills in Illinois.
Danny, he's the first recipient of a Gateway PGA recipient of this national award. He and Brian Main over at Whitmore Country Club, Danny, also Brian needs to be recognized because these men have such a strong commitment to our veterans in this HOPE program that it's really, really cool. And I got to tell you, Nathan Charnes is the first Gateway member to hold national office ever. So, I mean, in 2 short years, he's going to be Mr. 45. He's going to be the 45th president of the Gateway, of the PGA of America. So we've just got a whole hell of a lot of great things coming out of the Gateway section right now, Danny.
One of the things I want to ask Nathan about, Nathan Charnes will be our guest. He'll be in studio, is the Ryder Cup and the pay-for-play issue that's happening right now. Should the players be paid? Should they get more money than they've gotten in the past? All those things are on the table. I'm sure we'll address that with Nathan.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Danny? Is it okay to say I'm just tired of talking about golf and money? I'm just tired of talking about it. We just had this Bitcoin match that nobody watched, and it's too bad that somehow that didn't get publicized well enough, but basically it was Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy representing the PGA Tour playing against Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau at Shadow Creek in Las Vegas. It was frigid cold. It was nighttime golf, and it just, I don't know, it's an exhibition. I don't have any problem with those, but it's just weird.
Yeah, not many people watched either. The ratings were not good. The other thing with Nathan Charnes, and we'll cover, I'm sure, a ton of subjects and run the gamut there, but Keegan Bradley, who is the captain of the United States in the Ryder Cup, he's playing great golf right now, Jay. And would he step down of being the captain of this team because he might be somebody that qualifies by what he does on the course to be a player for the Ryder Cup?
You're absolutely right, Danny. And Keegan Bradley has already said, whatever monies they give to me is all going to charity. What he's able to direct is all going to charities. But what's happening and what's unfolding, and one of the coolest stories of this entire year, Danny, is Keegan Bradley. He went out and won the BMW Championship out at Castle Pines this past year, and he won that after being named the captain of the Ryder Cup. And, I've read a bunch of stuff on this. Keegan basically thought he was too young to be, he didn't think this was going to be, he was hoping he'd get a chance at this, but didn't think this was going to actually turn out this way. And when they got the call, he was all about it. And it's amazing. And now you start thinking, wait a second. Now, am I going to play? Am I going to captain? So I don't think, Danny, if he continues to play well and qualify, here's one caveat as well. I've just read, he said, I will not, and this is cool, I will not pick myself with one of the 6 at-large spots. Meaning, let's say he finishes 7th. You could make a wonderful argument that he is deserving and should be on that team. And he said he will not take up that spot. He will, if he doesn't finish in the top 6, which is the automatic qualifiers, he will then only focus on being the captain, which is interesting. So let's say, Danny, he does finish in the top 6. You got to pass that off, man. I love to hear what Nathan has to say. But and I bet you, Danny, knowing the PGA of America guys like I do, I bet you they've had this conversation already or are prepared for it, because I don't think you can work on your game and work as that and fill that captaincy role and do a fair, and reasonable job at both. I think it's just too much.
So last weekend we had the PNC with the father, son, mother, son, daughters are involved. Everybody's involved.
Yeah.
But we saw a hole-in-one.
That was so cool.
Charlie Woods gets a hole-in-one. His dad is there. The daughter's on the bag. I thought that was awesome. That was probably the highlight of last weekend when you talk about golf.
No doubt about it. No doubt. And the other thing is that the Langer family
wins again.
They're just ballers. I mean, they just keep on going. But you know what, Danny? What I thought was very interesting is that we saw an additional side of Tiger that's never come out before. That big embrace with his son Charlie, who's now 15 years old, and that golf swing is looking really, really good. I'm not sure, this will sound weird, Danny, but I'm not sure what kind of player Charlie is. He's a swinger from a sheer swing point of view. He looks very good. But I will tell you this, from knowing what I know and from playing on the PGA Tour, your swing is never worth more than 35% of what you do. It's just not. Your head, your gut, how much determination you have, what it's like to pick yourself off the canvas after those, double bogeys or those penalty shots and things like that. It'll be interesting to watch Charlie. I hope people give him a fair shake, but I think it's fun to watch him.
Well, I can tell you this. If I ran a golf program and Charlie is 17 going into his freshman year of college, I'm finding a lot of NIL money.
Unbuckle is the word you're looking for.
Well, if you got Charlie Woods as a part of your program and dad is maybe going to be invested in that program, I'm finding a spot for Charlie Woods. I can tell you that.
Could you imagine? I mean, he might as well just start his own university. I mean, but D, what the heck, man? Wow.
Well, you've told me so many times, if you could go back, and we had Curtis Strange on the show, and we've had Andy North, and we asked him, what would you do right now? What would you tell a young Curtis Strange or a young Andy North or Jay Delsing telling a younger self, what would you do? Go practice your short game. That's all you do.
100%, D. You can't chip and putt well enough. Period. End of story. Don't worry so much about your swing. I mean, we've had Scott Fawcett on, who created Decade Golf, and he looks you right in the eye and says, hey, guys, you don't hit it nearly as well as you think you do. It's this fallacy that you've bought into, and he's right. And, I changed my swing 3 times.
I love asking this question because some listeners may not know. How many holes in one since we're talking about this, how many holes in one for Jay Delsing?
I've got 20 hole-in-ones. 20 hole-in-ones. It's amazing that I've had that many. I've just had a lot of chances, Danny. I've played a lot, and I got a lot of par 3s under my belt.
I think the amazing thing about 20 is incredible. Hole-in-one is incredible, but you got 20 of them. The amazing thing is, though, how many rounds of golf have you played at Norwood Hills Country Club?
Oh, man. I knew you were
just
going
take a guess.
I would say 10,000.
And?
0.
That's amazing.
0 hole-in-ones. D, I have eagles on almost every hole except the par 3s. I mean, I've got them all on the par 5s. I've made a double eagle on a par 5 over there. I think I've holed out on every single other. And I don't have a hole-in-one. It's crazy. It's a great shot that gets lucky. You know what I mean? And so that's a weird thing. You and I were playing together, and somehow we got on this subject. I'm like, yeah, no, I've never made a hole-in-one at Norwood before.
I was just shocked.
Oh,
so the best one, was it at the Waste Management?
Oh, the most fun was the one on number 16 at Phoenix. The hair on my arms stood up, Danny. The beer shower was fantastic. It was incredible. But I did make a hole-in-one on a par 4 up in Toronto.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that was incredible.
So you hit driver?
I hit a 3-wood.
Okay.
It was a 340-yard hole, but it was downhill, blind tee shot. It was a place called Greystone. They actually put a nice monument up there for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, I was doing a corporate outing. I actually shot the course record that day too. I think I shot 62 that day. But it was one of those things where we went and it's a corporate outing. We're kind of herding cats. There's balls flying. You're trying not to get hit. You're trying to find balls, keep everybody moving because you don't want to hold the group up behind you. And I'll never forget this. The guy's like, I hit a good shot, and then the balls were flying, right? And so I'm over here in the left woods helping this guy. We're in the right sand trap. We lost this ball. One guy sculled one over the green. I'm like, that's gone. We can't find it. Lassie couldn't find that if it was wrapped in bacon. That sucker is gone. But I'll never forget, I was raking a bunker in the front left of this green, and there were 2 balls on the green. And the guy said, one of these balls is probably yours. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you want to putt it? I go, nah, it's not that big a deal. Let's go. This, this hole's taking a toll on us.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you playing? And I don't remember. I think I was playing a Titleist 2 or something, Danny. And he's like, no, that's not here. And then he looked in the hole and he goes, does it have a brown dot on it? And I just happened to have a brown. I said, yeah. And he goes, here it is. It's in the hole. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, crazy. A lot of fun.
What did the fans say to you in Phoenix, though? There was like, who is this guy or what happened?
Well, it's colorful because growing up as a caddy at Norwood, we did not exactly follow the strict etiquette of golf, meaning if you were standing up and you may or may not have hooked a ball that day, we might have said, hey, Danny, there's OB left, or make sure you don't hook. That's kind of how we grew up. So to say that I've got thick skin when it comes to that is understatement, okay? So we stand up on number 16 there, and the people are right there. I mean, it's not – obviously this was in the 90s, so it wasn't that 4-level kind of Coliseum effect. But Danny, there were bleachers and they were right on the tee. And it's only 145 or 50-yard shot. And I'll never forget, I put my ball on the ground like I always do and go through my routine. So I stand back behind my ball and I see a picture and it's like a little draw 9-iron, front left pin. And I'm like, okay. And I'm standing back there and I hear some guy, and they've obviously had a cocktail or two, say, who the is this guy? And his buddy goes, I have no idea, but I'll bet you $5 he misses the green. And so this ball goes in. Pearlie is standing. He's not caddying for me, but he was living in Phoenix at the time. He's standing right behind me. He turns around and was pointing. I'm like, which one of you guys? And then the beer shower came, and I'm like, screw it. Who cares?
That's awesome.
Just enjoy it. It was a lot of fun.
All right, coming up, we'll visit with Nathan Charnes, and he is the VP of the PGA of America, also the GM of Winghaven Country Club. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. We're presented by Darty Business Solutions, and happy holidays, everyone.
Darty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Darty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Darty Business Solutions.
This is Chris Nagel. And you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Hi, this is Peter Jacobson, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
You've heard me talking about the APT this year, but I want to help break down what this tour is all about. Firstly, it's the Amateurs Players Tour. I was lucky and privileged to have played golf on the PGA Tour, golf's highest level, so I know what it's like to have a real strong and fair competition. For amateur golf, this is absolutely the closest thing to PGA Tour style golf in terms of fairness of handicaps and the competition. Secondly, APT is the largest amateur tour in the country. In just over 6 years, Matt Minder and his team have over 7,000 members with over 44 local chapters spread across the country. The Amateur Players Tour runs over 800 tournaments a year. 800! That number alone tells you that they are doing something right. They play some premium golf courses around the country like Paynes Valley, Kiowa Island Ocean Course, and Torrey Pines South, and many more. Go to amateurplayerstour.com and find out for yourself. That's amateurplayerstour.com.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing. That's Jay, I'm Dan, and we have the chance to visit with, and we love it when he comes in studio, Nathan Charnes, the GM of Winghaven Country Club, also the VP of the PGA of America, and it's always great to be with you, and thanks for coming in studio.
Yeah, happy to be here. Good morning, guys.
Nathan, this is such a treat for Danny and I because there's so many topics that we get bantered around in, and you've been in. We said last week, wouldn't it be super cool to be a fly on the wall in some of these meetings? And you're sitting in the chair in some of these meetings, man. Where should we start? Where do you want to start today?
Well, as always, there's no shortage of topics with the PGA of America and the programs and what's going on in our world. That's been a very interesting last couple of years. Well, I guess we could start with my role because the last time I was here, I was the secretary of the PGA of America.
Yeah, love it.
Now I am the vice president. So I think we talked about before, every 2 years we transition. So in November, about 6 weeks ago, we had our annual meeting, and the PGA of America elected a new secretary. His name is Eric Eshelman. He's from the Country Club of Birmingham in Birmingham, Alabama. I was then elected to transition from secretary to vice president, and we elected our new president, Don Ray. Don Ray's out of the Phoenix area. He works at a place called Augusta Ranch.
Great guy. We've had Don on the show, thanks to your graciousness, and he's just terrific.
Yeah, he is. And so we at the PGA of America, not only are we getting ready to announce a new CEO in the coming weeks, hopefully we're transitioning leadership. So our new roles, new president, new secretary coming on board. We're getting ready to go into a little bit of a quiet time through the holidays, and then we pick up in January and kind of do it all over again, starting with our PGA show at the end of January. So we're excited. We're very excited, the PGA of America, for our new CEO to get started, hopefully in January. We're excited for new leadership and what Don's going to do in his role as president, and I'm excited to move on to my role. So you have very different, as secretary, you're in charge of all membership matters and education. Vice president's all budgets, numbers, and financials, which is not as fun, but it's important, especially in this day and age. And then the president, you get it all. But that's kind of the update on the PGA side in terms of what I'm doing. But again, excited. Well, I'm excited to take a break in the coming weeks. And then about January 5th or 6th, we kind of kick it off and start traveling again.
So that's what I was going to ask you. You go from secretary to VP. You mentioned the numbers. You don't necessarily have to dive into that. But when you're talking about your current role, where do you start? What do you do? And give our listeners an idea of how that all transpires.
So the first 30 days after the transition, I spend the time onboarding the new secretary, explaining and helping and guiding him and understanding his roles and responsibilities, because I just went through it 2 years ago, and what he needs to be focusing on, what his role is on certain committees and the things that he chairs, and basically making suggestions and updating him on where we left a lot of things off so he can hit the ground running. And then, of course, our budget and finance and audit and all of our innovation committees. And, of course, Don Ray, who was the vice president, does the same with me. So we kind of spend the time getting you ready. So it's about 30 days of onboarding, and then you get up and running in January with whatever you're supposed to focus on. And, yes, it's not as fun and sexy to be the VP with your focus on dollars and cents as it is when you're the secretary and it's membership. But it's obviously a very important part of the association.
Nathan, explain to the listeners how a CEO fits in with a president, with a VP, and how does that chain of command run and kind of responsibility? So we've been without a CEO for
since June.
But I was going to say a better part of 6 months. So what does that look like?
So our interim CEO for the last 6 months has been Kerry Haig, who's been our director of competitions and ran the Spectator Championships for the PGA of America for over 30 years. He's very well respected in the golf industry worldwide. How it works is the board of directors for the PGA of America, which is led by the 3 officers. So we have a board of directors that's 21 individuals. Those 21 individuals, 3 of them are the officers, president, vice president, secretary, which kind of oversee the board and the entire association. But technically our what we call C-suite, which is our CEO, chief executive officer, COO, our CFO, all of our chiefs report to the board of directors. It's a little complicated in that the board of directors or the officers, technically the CEO reports to the board, and then the C-suite reports to the CEO. But there's a little bit of an overlap there to where sometimes we kind of work collectively as a team between any group or all of the board of directors with our C-suite, which there's 8 or 9 of them. But to technically answer your question, the CEO reports to the board, and then everybody else that works for the CEO reports to the CEO.
What's a PGA show like?
PGA show is thousands and thousands of square feet of vendor space at Orange County Convention Center in Orlando. It's been around for forever. The PGA of America actually sold it 30, 40 years ago to Reed Expeditions. It's kind of a partnership between the PGA of America and Reed for this PGA show, but it's at the end of January every year, and most of the vendors in the golf industry come together. There's opportunities to buy, to purchase, to plan. There's education, there's meetings, there's conferences. The who's who of the golf world comes together for a few days. We kick off with a teaching and coaching summit, and then it's the actual show. And if you've never been, you guys should definitely come down and check it out. It's quite the experience.
So we better we better bring some money.
You better bring a lot of money.
You'll be buying wedges. You're going to need a new bag. You're going to need a bigger bag, Danny.
Exactly.
The merchandise show is amazing. I think it's. At one time, Nathan, could it have been over 1 million square feet of space?
I think so. I think so. I don't have the data with me, but yeah.
Staggering. And I've probably been 10 times. It's been a minute or so since I've been down there, but man, there's also releases of new, styles of things. And I can remember one time Titleist must have had 40 white jackets down there. They thought they wear their white jackets. Everybody's looking to stand out in one way, shape, or form, Dan.
Yeah, it's impressive, and you really should. If you were free, I know somebody that might be able to get you some media or press passes. You should come down, do a show from down there. We could queue up some of the golf leaders, come by and do some talking with you at the PGA show.
It's like we're going to Florida, buddy.
It's impressive, and it's kind of our kickoff for the year. So it's our first big event. We have a board meeting that week. We have a bunch of meetings with some of our biggest partners. A lot of meetings, a lot of happy hours, a lot of handshaking, a lot of business getting done.
I'm in. I think I'm in.
Yeah, let's go. Is that as official as we need to be here?
How's the show doing? We need to dive into the show.
I think we could swing it. Let's see. We'll figure it out today as soon as we kick Nathan out here. That'll be perfect.
Well, let's make sure if people are just tuning in. Nathan Charnes is our guest, GM at Winghaven Country Club, VP of the PGA of America. Go into a little bit of what's happening now. I mean, you kind of touched upon it, but like you wake up, what's your day like? What are you doing?
So right now at Winghaven Country Club, being here in St. Louis and the weather, obviously it's pretty slow. We do a lot of holiday events at the club for the members, their guests, and their family. But the golf is, here in St. Louis, it's dark now, 4:30, 5 o'clock. So if we get a decent weather day, we have a few golfers, but it's very busy at Winghaven Country Club. So my days there right now are planning for next year. The staff, the budgets, the outings, the events, the member functions, a lot of planning. So once the weather gets better come March, we're ready to go for the season. In terms of the PGA of America, it's usually quiet right now, but we have a lot going on. We have a lot going on with the Ryder Cup, which we just made a press release this morning about, ironically. We've been dealing a lot with the preparation of the Ryder Cup over the last few months. We announced a number of things from Keegan Bradley as the captain last, I guess it was July or August. Then we started planning for the event. Ticket sales opened up, and so there was a lot of conversations about the ticket pricing. Happy to touch on that. And then, of course, recently it's been all over the news the last few weeks with this whole pay-for-play conversations and stories. It started with the leak overseas from about 6 weeks ago, which was not the leak was not true at all in terms of what we were thinking. So a lot of Ryder Cup stuff going on right now. Believe it or not, PGA Championship next year at Quail Hollow is going on, or coming up here before you know it. That is right in the middle of our tournament season. So I mentioned the PGA show that we kick off in January, more for the members and the business side of the manufacturers. Soon after that, we kick off championship season, which would be our National Club Pro Championship, PGA Works Collegiate Championship, PGA Championship, Senior PGA Championship. I used to say KitchenAid Senior. We've parted ways mutually. It's just, it was time for an end of that partnership. So now it's just the Senior PGA Championship next year. Looking for a sponsor if anybody's interested. That's my shameless
Golf with Jay Delsing.
Hey, let's do it.
But no, a lot. Again, how we kicked off the hour, there's no shortage of topics for PGA of America.
So, Nathan, it doesn't seem like we can ever get away from talking about golf and money. So let's talk about the price, the ticket pricing at the Ryder Cup, if you don't mind. I mean, we got to set it up for the folks. It's being played at Bethpage Black. It's in New York. I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest cities in the world, and the prices came out, and people were pissed.
Yeah, they lost their mind, and I'll be honest, we were ready for it. We expected it, probably not to the initial level at first, but to give you a little bit of background, PGA of America, our two largest assets are the PGA Championship and the Ryder Cup, and we use those events. Obviously, the PGA Championship is every year. The Ryder Cup is only every 4 years. When it's in Europe, we own it when it's here. So when it's in Europe, it's a different setup. However, we build our 4-year budgets, and we utilize the revenues from these events to pay for a lot of our programs, growth of the game initiatives, education programs for golf professionals, programs that a lot of our PGA members, 31,000, run at the club. So we kind of plan that out on a cycle, and we leverage those assets to try and do that. When we look at the Ryder Cup over the years, the growth that we've seen in the popularity and the revenues, one thing that doesn't get shared as much is the cost to run the event. The amount the price of the grandstands, the hospitality, the transportation, you name it, every 4-year increase is significant, multi-million dollars. So our price goes up. When we look at going into Long Island, just outside of New York City for this event, it's more expensive to pay for the event, to host the event there. But we did. So two things we did for that ticket pricing is we hired a firm to help us really look at the experience of the Ryder Cup, what the ticket prices should be in that area. In addition to, we wanted to do a program in place where all the food was included. Not the beverages or the beer, but I think it's non-alcoholic, like waters and food is included in the ticket. because that's going to provide a better experience, because it's not like your typical event with people spread out all over the golf course. People were waiting long hours to get food. So we tried to elevate the experience, include food in the ticket prices. We also rolled in all the taxes and fees, and then you throw in the New York market, and the suggestion came back, if you do all of what I just said, it was a big number. It was $750. And I think 2 years ago in Rome, might have been like $300. And 4 years ago here, it might have been $250. So it is a lot more. But that's where, if you package in all that, the food, all the taxes and fees in New York to that number, and then the experience, the venue, that's where we got. And it did. It got a lot of pushback initially. The best thing that happened to us was unplanned is about 10 days later, the ticket prices for the World Series came out. We also believe that the Ryder Cup is a top tier event. You know, Super Bowls, World Series, we only host it once every 4 years. It's the Ryder Cup. Ticket prices came out, and the price difference between the tickets in LA versus New York was significant. And there was a couple articles a couple of weeks after we got some bad press. There were some articles, and the Ryder Cup basically went from overpriced to a fair value like that when the World Series tickets were announced. So it's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. I get that. I will say one more thing, though. We are also looking at Kerry Hagan and his team. They are creating some low-cost entry points for local Bethpage residents. You know, there's a story there, that golf course, it's a state park where people wait in line to play. So we're trying to be creative and offer some level of a low-cost entrance for some of the locals to get into the Ryder Cup.
Nathan Charnes is our guest, GM of Winghaven Country Club, the VP of the PGA of America. More with Nathan here in studio on Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you tired of watching your golf scores go up every year? Despite new equipment and even a couple lessons, you still fight that slice or your inability to get that ball up and down out of the bunker? Well, get ready to experience better golf with Elevate Golf. At Elevate Golf, we're changing the way golfers practice with our innovative and data-driven approach to learning and, most importantly, improving. We have an array of membership options where you can find the perfect fit for your golf, your lifestyle, and your budget. Whether you start in our full-service gym, the short game area that has real sand bunker, or one of our 7 TrackMan simulator bays, the team at Elevate Golf will do a complete assessment of you and your game, which is crucial because if you don't know where you're starting from, it's nearly impossible to attain a goal or a new level. Call us today at 636-265-0557 or visit us at elevategolf.com. That's ELV8golf.com. Contact us today and get ready to play better golf.
Hey, this is Robert Price with Elite Minds, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
I am delighted to welcome Folds of Honor to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney and his team donate 91% of all funds directly to these scholarships. And oh, by the way, to date, 52,000 of these life-changing scholarships have been awarded since 2007. 45% of those 52,000 scholarships have been awarded to minority recipients. So join the Folds of Honor team today and donate at foldsofhonor.com.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. And it's because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and easy. and their customer service is second to none. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester in Kirkwood, you'll be a customer for life because they will treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Golf with Jay Delsing rolls on. Our guest in studio, Nathan Charnes, GM of Winghaven Country Club and the VP of the PGA of America. Before our break, we were talking about the Ryder Cup, and I'm just curious, what's it been like dealing with Keegan Bradley, the captain?
Yeah, Keegan's been great. He's been, I think first of all, he really wasn't in the queue, so to speak, trying to figure out, there's a process to be identified and then invited to be the Ryder Cup captain. And for a lot of reasons, I think Keegan, in his mind, didn't think it was as close as what it was. When the committee decided on Keegan, he immediately was surprised and shocked. But after it sat in, he got just super excited. He's got so much passion for the Ryder Cup. He's got so much passion for that type of tournament and representing your country and playing with the team. That he quickly got excited. So we immediately went into the planning stage. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that goes into the team experience, the do's and don'ts for the team. The Ryder Cup captain has a lot of control on the experience the team gets, some of the daily schedule, the practice rounds, the attire, obviously the matches, the points, and different things. But there's a lot to do as the captain. And Keegan also, he wants to make the team. And he said that because he's still a highly ranked golfer in the world golf rankings. He has a chance to make the team, and our last few captains probably haven't been in the same boat like that. So he's trying to balance both of those, all the prep, all the meetings, all the stuff as the captain, while also trying to keep his game in shape for trying to make the team himself.
And guys, this would be some sort of crazy, almost Herculean type task to try to figure out how and who. He would probably have to rely so much more, Nathan, on his assistant vice captains and things like that if he's going to be playing. I mean, it's got to be almost – I don't know how his game mentally can sustain it, but Danny and I have talked to us about it before. He'd be like our favorite guy to watch if he could make this team.
Yeah, you're spot on, and we've talked about that internally, not with Keegan, in that if he were to make the team – you would almost think there should be some level of a rule that if you make the team, you kind of have to assign a lot of the duties to a vice captain. He'll have 4 vice captains, and there's no doubt that if he makes the team, it's going to be very hard to just do the day in and day out of the captain roles and responsibilities. And I think if Keegan Bradley were put in a position to where he had to do that and make a decision to maybe give his vice captain some duty so he could play, I think he'd be okay with that. I think anybody would be, because what a cool story. It's been 30-something years since a captain has been a player. But yeah, I think there's definitely a lot to do and a lot to think about for him as captain, and all while trying to get his game ready for the season and play. And all the recent articles and stories about the pay for play haven't helped the situation. There's been a lot of extra meetings about that.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that for fans that don't know, golf fans that are listening to the show. Pay for play with the Ryder Cup. What's happening right now?
Yeah, and ironically, just today, it's been weeks and weeks of conversation at the PGA Board of Directors. We just made a press release this morning. And a little background on that is the PGA of America has not changed the amount. So the Team USA players have been given $200,000 to be directed to charities for 25 years. It's been that way since 1999. There's been some recent articles and leaks with not factual information, but we have been talking about it because it has been 25 years, and we always want to try and make sure we provide the best experience for the fans, the best experience for the players, the captains, and everybody. But we made a press release this morning that we are going to increase that amount for the first time in 25 years. It's going to be a combination of it's going to be $500,000 in total. Inflation alone over the last 25 years almost gets you to that number compared to what it was 25 years ago. But the new amount's going to be $500,000, $300,000 being directed to charities, $200,000 as a player stipend, which is consistent with some other sports and what players or professional athletes are paid to play in international competitions. But that $200,000 will be a stipend and $300,000 to charity.
Okay, I'm just a novice guy. You guys are the experts here. I got a question for you about Keegan Bradley. I want to go back to him. Would it be beneficial for him to step down if he makes the team? Meaning, if he makes the team, step down as the captain and just say, look, this is my dream. I want to play in this thing. And you mentioned the assistants. Obviously they would have more responsibility. But has that been broached where you say, that subject where you say, might be beneficial for you to step down? We understand you did all this work to get there. Your assistants have done a ton of work. You kind of hand it off and you just say, it's better for you to step down and be a player.
Yeah, I think there's merit to that conversation. We haven't had it yet. I do think, knowing some of the comments Keegan has made, I think he would be open to that conversation. Because if he is a player, he wants to focus 100% on playing and winning. If he's a captain, he wants to focus 100% on being the captain and winning. Keeping in mind, both of them he wants to win. We all do. We want to win. But I think if we get closer to the event and he's closer in the mix. He's already said he's not going to pick himself. The 4 captains picked, the eight points, or 6 and 6 or 8 and 4. I can't remember because there was conversation. It's 6 and 6.
I thought it was 6 and 6 and 4.
There was an article where he said that he might change it to 8 and 4, but we left it at 6 and 6. So he's already said he's not going to pick himself. So he's got to be in the top 6. And Jay said that's a monumental task. That would be for anybody, not just Keegan, but anybody. That's a tough list to get in. But I do think he'd be open to that conversation, just knowing where his mind has been on the other one, that if he wasn't that 6, I think we'd have a good conversation about that. Because I do see merit to that. But he'd have to want to do it and have to make sense for the team.
Sure.
Nathan, was there any sort of validity as far as with the Patrick Cantlay not wearing the hat? Was that him trying to make a statement? Was that truly the hat didn't fit? It just seems a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know. So he never approached the PGA of America specific to what some of the reports were being about, saying it was a protest of not getting paid. I do know, I do feel like that story somehow got, translated into something that it wasn't quite there. I also don't think it was the fact that there was a report that the hat just didn't fit. And there was also a report that he just didn't want a tan line because he was getting married the next week, which that was true. He was getting married the very next week. If you
hadn't heard that one.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
He got married in Italy,
that's right there.
He did. Yeah.
He didn't wear a hat the last Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits either. So I don't think that it was about that. I think that might have been a media turning into something that it wasn't. And what's interesting about the decision or the press release we just made today, no player ever reached out to the PGA of America. There's so many articles out there, but no player reached out to the PGA of America asking to get payment. Now, granted, all the articles had made this. We've been talking about this for months. All the articles, we realized in talking with Keegan that we need to make a decision. We've already been talking about it. These articles are hurting us all. And so that's kind of why we push this along. And honestly, we're happy to get this decision done now, long before the event, so we can focus on the event. We're going to take some grief for this for sure. Obviously, there's been some conversations already, and I believe that some of the players are going to donate the entire amount to charity. Like the $300 is, the $200 is a stipend. It's optional. Some people call it a player-directed fund. But we don't know that yet because we don't know who's on the team. But I think this is a good thing for the event. I think it's a good thing for the PGA of America. It's a good thing for the players, the captains, and everybody. And again, but going back to your comment, no player ever reached out to us asking for payment. We just feel like it's the best thing for the event.
Are you expecting pushback because the amount's not enough, just because it's more the players? I heard Tiger mention something about it. I honest to God, I just glaze over right now when there's just so much talk about money. It's almost hard to imagine. Danny and I were talking about this, I think, last week, was that how in the heck are these guys concerned about an extra couple hundred? Now, $200,000 is a hell of a lot of money, but look at what they're doing. Look at what they're earning. I mean, Sahith Theegala just made $7.5 million in the Tour Championship. I mean, we're not talking about a bunch of guys that are broke.
Yeah, no, I think the pushback. So the pushback is going to be from people that feel like they should get nothing and it's just about playing for your country. And I think we would argue that we're still in that same position. It's still about playing for your country. We did make a change to the components and how much they receive to go to charity. The stipend is new. Again, it's consistent with other sports. You know, times are changing. Look at what NIL has done to college sports. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's going to be so much money given to charities by the players playing in the Ryder Cup. It is still 100% about, you know, playing for your team, playing for your country, and winning. Really, that's what the focus is. And it was due for an update. It's been 25 years, but there's definitely that's what the negative press is going to be about, just that the stipend component, which again, it's our hope is that it still all goes to charity.
And you know, Nathan, think about 25 years ago what $200,000 meant to certain charities. I mean, that's
significant.
I mean, Danny Mac's got one of the longest standing charities here in St. Louis. It raises, oh my gosh, it's raised over $5 million since its inception for special needs families. It's amazing. But we both know when you're involved in these charities, man, it's a slog to get these things started. It is not easy to, you know, you work just as hard, even harder sometimes at the beginning years for $20,000 and $30,000 and $40,000. And I think, Danny, this year you guys brought in nearly $400,000, you know, so it's interesting. But when you have something like this where the players get to make this donation in their name, I mean, how could someone complain? It's like, wait a minute, this is something to be grateful for, not to bitch and moan about.
No, yeah, again, we're in a good place on it. We really are, and so much of the press just isn't. Even if you look at, Tiger, you were starting to go down. Tiger made some comments and threw out some crazy numbers about the $5 million, the $1 million, right?
Yeah.
But Tiger, at the end of the day, I bet he's on board with this. And you know, you listen to a bunch of the players at the Hero say that, you know, they're going to play no matter what, or they're going to play. I think that Team USA has gotten some bad press on this, and I think it's been unwarranted. There's been a lot of articles, a lot of people talking about it. At the end of the day, you know, we're going to hopefully have an unbelievable team. A lot of money is going to go to charity. They're absolutely going to represent their country, and they're going to win.
Let's hope. Nathan Charnes is our guest, the GM of Winghaven Country Club, also the VP of the PGA of America. Jay mentioned Tiger. You just mentioned Tiger. How often do you guys approach him or vice versa about the issues that golf deals with every single day?
So we don't approach him as much as, well, it's interesting. There's two ways for me to answer that. On the Ryder Cup side, he's good friends with Keegan. So a lot of the stuff we've talked about just in Ryder Cup preparation, forget the what we just talked about, but anything else Ryder Cup, you know, Keegan is talking a lot with Tiger. They have a great relationship. There was early press and rumors that Tiger was going to be the captain. There's already people saying that Tiger's going to be the captain in Ireland for the next time, and none of that's official. We don't really know. Nothing's been decided yet, but because of all that and their friendship, they work a lot together. Tiger used to interact with the PGA of America a lot more than now. Only because now he's involved on that tour of the board. So that board, they created the new board. They've got the players on there, some of their independents ever since they announced the framework agreement, 18 months ago. Tiger was invited and a part of that board. So he's pretty, I'd say when he's not playing or not helping his son with his game, you know, he's very involved with the PGA Tour and trying to get that solidified.
Tiger was close with Seth. I mean, I know they have a relationship as well, the outgoing CEO, Seth Waugh. So, gosh, Nathan, it's funny. Danny and I talk about this all the time. I want to get your take on this. With the exception of the LIV and the PIF and the PGA Tour, and we're going back and forth with all of the controversy, the game of golf's never been in better stead, man.
Yeah, recreational golf, I go to a lot of speaking engagements, and that's the message I send, is that recreational golf has never been better. Professional golf is in a tough place. At the PGA of America, we're in both of those spaces with the PGA Championship and the Ryder Cup and what we do there and how we fund the recreational side. Like, we're in a very difficult place, but at the end of the day, golf is in a great place. More people are playing, businesses are investing, courses are investing. Like, we could talk all day about how good of a place golf is in right now, and hopefully that continues. It has the PGA Tour, Live, PIF side of it with corporate sponsors and viewership. I mean, viewership has been hurt a little bit on the numbers, and I think it's because people are tired of hearing about money. Golf just used to be about golf, and now there's a new variable in there which people don't like to hear about as much. So that they need to fix that, and they can't figure that out until they figure out the relationship with PIF, Live, and the Tour.
What do you see when Tiger plays in terms of TV ratings, interest, the talk about him, whatever the case may be? Even though he's not even close to the player he was, who cares?
That's right.
It's still Tiger Woods.
That's right. It goes up. And even for us, PGA Championship, if Tiger is in the field, the ticket sales go up.
It's amazing.
It doesn't sell out like the Ryder Cup. We talked about the price earlier. It's still sold out in 12 hours. 510,000 people on the list. It's 50,000 roughly tickets a day. Well, Friday, Saturday, Sunday sold out, the competition days. It's always been hard to sell out the practice round days because it's not your normal practice round. Such a few amount of players, and they don't really play. They might go out in like a sixth and play 5 holes, and they go somewhere, stuff like that. So, but yeah, for the PGA Championship that we host every year, if Tiger's in the field, he's playing, those ticket sales, they jump.
So you're praying that Tiger plays?
Always. Tiger
so
brings.
Danny.
Absolutely.
He brings something that nobody else can, and honestly, nobody else ever will.
No.
Interesting.
There's no doubt that Scotty Scheffler's doing some things statistically right now that could match Tiger one day if he keeps it up. But he's still, it's Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Like it's.
There's that aura, Nathan. I was telling Danny that every single player in the field knew that he was probably going to beat you, and it was going to be spectacular. From his point of view, he was going to want to be kind of like the Muhammad Ali. He wanted to stand above you and make sure that you knew, where everybody stood. One of the things I wanted you to mention, because St. Louis has the President's Cup coming in 2030, which is really going to be exciting. But when you bring a team competition, it's not your typical golf event. It's really, there almost needs to be some planning from the spectator's point of view on how to consume it. Because you just don't go, I'm going to grab my kids and we're going to walk in on hole number 12, and we'll just see who's playing out there and we'll follow them in. That's right. And Nathan, one other thing I wanted to talk about is that because there's a very low percentage or a interesting percentage of the number of matches that actually make it to the last couple holes.
It's very different. So we have, I'll tell the story of before I was a PGA board member. I went to the Ryder Cup at Hazeltine with a friend of mine, and I was just a spectator. And we got there early. We had to wait in line. We did not run to the first tee, which you have to get to the first tee experience. That's pretty much the only reason to go to a Ryder Cup is a first tee experience. Other than that, it's very difficult to see. But if you can get on the first tee, that's what you want to do.
That was game changing. I was at that. Right. That's game changing.
Right.
That Danny, the hair on your art, the red, white, and blue that you didn't know existed in your bones, it pops up.
But we went first thing. So we went on Sunday, and first thing we did is we went to hole 7. And we could barely get a seat on hole 7, and we watched the matches go by one time. And then we went to the back 9. There's like an area where it's holes 15, 16-ish, and we sat there, and we saw them all walk by there. Some of them didn't, so it's very difficult to consume golf as a spectator at those events. Practice rounds are worse because you have 12 on each team, 24 players. They might go out and play a few holes in the morning, and then they go maybe practice, and then they go back out, and they're hitting shots.
Nobody's playing 18.
That's right. There's not 100 golfers playing 18 holes. Right. You can get autographs, stuff. It's very different. That's why we never sell out the Ryder Cup Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But yeah, if you go to it's very different, but it's also, you're never going to have that experience. You got to get to the first tee. You got to get somewhere on the back 9. Don't go too far. You're right. A lot of matches won't go to 18, but just to see the atmosphere, the chants, on the first tee, but later on, if somebody wins a point, to be there, it's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. You never see it on a golf course, so it's definitely worth it. But a lot of people like to come Friday, Saturday, then they go home Sunday, so they can watch it Sunday on their couch on the TV.
So you just led me into this question. How does a Ryder Cup compare to majors, to great elevated events, whatever the case may be, on the PGA Tour in terms of fan interest, ratings, those kind of things? How does the Ryder Cup compare?
So, I mean, it's up there at the top for sure. I would say the Ryder Cup, we've called it, as we measure it at the PGA of America, I don't know how the tour measures it, but it's like one of the 5 majors. We only talk about the 4 majors. We call it the 5th major. Sometimes the Tour Championship is up there as well in terms of the response and the ratings as well. But for our, we always say that we have 2 of the 5 oceanfront properties in the golf world, having the 4 majors plus the Ryder Cup. That's how we always view it there. But definitely it's up there, assuming it also has to be close. If you talk about viewership and numbers too, the worst thing that can happen from the business side of that with the ratings is somebody to blow out the other team. I mean, we want it to be close on Sunday, come down to the last couple matches, because that's when it really, really is the best.
Yeah, and how about number of spectators? Is there a cutoff, Nathan, on tickets per practice round compared to a tournament day?
Yeah, we're roughly about 50,000 a day, and that's about PGA Championship and Ryder Cup. Now, different venues might be different. Whistling Straits was a little more; it was less because of that. It'll be interesting to see what they do at Adair Manor in a couple of years with that. That's a very unique property out in the middle of nowhere. There's actually some companies looking into parking cruise ships next to the coast there to get people in there to that. But we're looking at 50,000 a day is the number for Bethpage. It's about 50,000 a day at PGA Championship in Quail Hollow.
How many people, Danny, you were at Belle Reve. When I look at, I swear there were 50,000 people around the 18th.
And now they say there's 200,000 that were there. I'm kidding. People say
exactly.
that they were there.
The park keeps getting longer.
I think we just had 200,000 people tell us they were there on Sunday.
Oh, I was there.
Any idea what that number looked like at Belle Reve? Because I've been to a lot of PGA Championships, and maybe it's just because of my familiarity with Belle Reve, because it was so locked down with people and TV and hospitality, but man, it sure seemed like way more than 50.
The number, the honest number would have been about the same, but I do think you had a perfect storm of the facility and the way where 18 sat to 17 and the entrance point and that overlooking part of the range. The weather was good of the weekend. There's like 5 or 6 people within one stroke, right? Oh, yeah. Even Tiger was in the mix, right?
Oh, he finished second.
I think you had a perfect storm where nobody went home. Everybody wanted to stay. Everything was right there. A lot of people in the mix, and it was just a perfect scenario for just it. Just
Nathan,
seemed like
a lot of people look at Danny and I and go, "Well, Tiger won." We're like, Tiger did not win.
Right.
Koepka won.
That's right.
I'm curious too about, because of the success in St. Louis, merchandise, tickets, great tournament. It was amazing with the interest across the country, and St. Louis was the focal point.
It was.
And you being the VP of the PGA of America, I'm curious, has it been talked about a lot to where they say, we got to get back to St. Louis as quickly as we can because of the interest that they had?
We've heard comments for sure about that. I know there's an interest in St. Louis to get events back. You got the St. Louis, I think it's the St. Louis Sports Commission that tries to generate some of these events coming to St. Louis, all different kinds of sports. No doubt that Belle Reve is one of the few facilities that logistically can host an event like that, and obviously they're committed with the BMW in 27?
Yes.
26, and then the President's Cup in
30. Yeah.
And then, of course, the President's Cup, for those listening, is the odd year. So it's the PGA Tour's version of the Ryder Cup and the non-Ryder Cup year. So you have the President's Cup, which is Team USA versus International, and then the Ryder Cup, obviously USA versus Europe. So I think Belle Reve is committed for a number of years here. There's definitely been some conversations and some reach outs that, what's next for St. Louis? What's next for golf? PGA of America is a big part of that, and we're obviously open to having conversations about our events.
Well, you are a big part of that too. I mean, I want to thank you for doing what you're doing. Belle Reve kind of keeps its it's golf foot in the door for us on a national level. And now, you know, it probably won't seem like 2 short years to you, but in 2 short years, you're going to be the next president of the PGA of America. So we're so delighted. We're so proud to have you and have you kind of keeping us prominent for us golf nerds, especially in this room. We are all about it.
Oh, well, you know what's funny is you just said, nobody said that yet. You just said, and I've been the VP for 6 weeks, the next president of the PGA of America, and my heart just stopped for a second because nobody has said that until you just, nobody has said that. It's the first time somebody said that, which it seems like it's forever away, just under 2 years, but no doubt it'll be here before we know it.
It's going to be great. Hey, thanks for coming in, as always, updating golf fans about what's happening. It's just amazing, and you're so upfront and honest about what's happening. So thanks for doing what you do.
Happy to do it, guys. I'm always happy to get on here. Hope you have a great holiday. Happy New Year. And I guess we'll do another one of these shows with the PGA show in Orlando in January.
Yeah, I love what I was going to say. Don't go changing your number or anything on us because we're going to keep calling you.
Nathan Charnes has been our guest in studio, GM at Winghaven Country Club and the VP, soon to be president, as his heart drops again, of the PGA of America. That's Nathan Charnes, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Do you remember the golden rule? I'm sure you do, but just in case, it goes like this. Treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. At People's National Bank, that one statement is the cornerstone of what this bank is all about. Locally owned, with 23 locations in Southern Illinois and the metropolitan St. Louis area, People's National Bank parlays a robust menu of commercial or personal banking services you could possibly need with a friendly yet hardworking Midwestern attitude. Maybe you just want to do business with a bank whose entire team lives in the same neighborhoods as we do. If you're like me and doing business with someone you trust is important to you, then People's National Bank is the bank for you. Jason Rantham, local president, is here for you to call, and he'll answer any questions you may have. His personal cell is 314-974-2243. You can also find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com. People's National Bank is here for all of your banking needs.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
Hey folks, we just opened the Jay Delsing Golf Shop. If you need anything golf related, you need a hoodie, you need a visor, you need a quarter zip. My daughter Gemma has spearheaded this effort, and I so appreciate all of her help. But we are live and we are ready to get you into some golf gear. Folks, know this. With every single purchase, I will be donating either to the Western Golf Association in support of the Evans Scholarship Program or to Folds of Honor and the great Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney. So everything that you buy from me, we're going to make a donation to those great causes. Thanks for checking it out. It's jdelsinggolfshop.com. So you've been hearing me talk about one of our community's greatest contributors and most philanthropically inclined companies. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Marcone. They're the largest distributor of General Electric appliance parts in North America. Did you know that Marcone is also the largest and most trusted supplier of commercial and residential appliance parts, HVAC, plumbing, commercial kitchens, and pools and spas? All of that's in North America as well. That's right, Marcone does all that. Marcone is committed to supporting our first responders, all the branches of service in our military, our police and firefighters, and many more. From the viewing deck at the Ascension Charity Classic, founded in honor of our military heroes, to their commitment to Reese Across America program, Marcone is here for you and your family as well as your community. That's Marcone, the official sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return.
Recently, my nephew called me and said his basement had flooded and all the hardwood, carpet, and flooring had to be replaced. I told him I have the perfect place for you to go. At Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture, this second-generation family-owned business treats everyone just like their family. Jared Capps is continuing his mom and dad's 50-year business tradition where honesty, transparency, and service carry the day. My nephew loved the luxury vinyl product. Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture has the largest selection in the area. Whether you prefer Mohawk and the wide variety of their product lines, I love the Rev Wood product, by the way, or Karastan or Pergo Elements line, Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture will literally have you covered. You have pets? Let Jared tell you about the many sustainable flooring and carpet options that are pet-friendly but also easily maintained to keep your floors looking great every day. And don't forget about their huge selection of Lazy Boy recliners. They are awesome and one of the biggest selections in the Midwest. Call them today at 618-936-0536 and get your free estimate or set up a consultation with one of their experts. You can also go to jerseyvillecarpetandfurniture.net. Proud sponsor of Golf with Jay Delsing.
Happy holidays, everyone, as we roll on with Golf with Jay Delsing. And that's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Again, our thanks to Nathan Charnes, the VP of the PGA of America, the GM of Winghaven Country Club, for being in studio. It's awesome. We got him on speed dial, and he's going to be one of the most, and still is right now, one of the most important faces and voices right now in the game of golf.
Oh, Danny, 100%. And where do we start? First of all, what a cool person. And what a good human, you know what I mean? And the fact that, you know what it also reminds me of, Danny, he's got to have a great wife.
Yeah.
Because think about all the stuff that's going on. He's got 3 children. There's a lot of activity over there. He's traveling a lot. He's got multiple jobs. Lot of activity over in the Carnes household.
So with this being the end of the year, we thought we'd take a look at some of the top stories in the game of golf. Let's start with the dominance of Scottie Scheffler. Scheffler won 6 times before July, the first to do so since Arnold Palmer in 1962. He wins. Well, first of all, he's number 1 throughout the year. He wins another Masters. His dominance truly is incredible right now in the game of golf.
It is, Danny. And I mean, here's the next, I think, logical narrative that we need to talk about here. So he has locked down this number 1 player in the world now for 2 years. Okay. He has established it. Remember, Danny, when he first got on the PGA Tour, he had trouble winning. He did not win naturally or easily. Now, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So 9 wins, won a gold medal. Don't forget about that, because oftentimes that kind of gets caught up in the wash. But so, Danny, is this our next lead dog on the PGA Tour? Or is this a superheater? I mean, we can't say he's on a hot streak because he's been doing it now for 2 years, but is this what we can come to expect? You know, he shows up at the Hero. And
he's not complacent because he changes how he's putting.
Exactly, Danny, exactly. And I love seeing that. I mean, I love seeing that from you know, kind of our new face of golf, if that's who he is. It'll be really interesting to see what this looks like. And yeah, I don't know. Where do you weigh in on that?
I think he is, and I also think he's coming out of his shell a little bit. We don't know a ton about him, but I do think, like in press conferences, he's got these quick, you know, little statements that he has that are funny. I just think we're starting to see him come out of his shell. And when you need somebody to be the face of a league, it's not only dominating on the field, on the course, on the court, whatever that case may be, but it's also how you deal with the media. Now, Tiger's a different animal. No one knows anything about Tiger for the most part. He did all the media, but you never learned anything about him. I do think that we're starting to find a little bit more about Scottie Scheffler. And I think that'll be part of him becoming the alpha dog or the face of the PGA Tour, which right now he's got to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love it. I mean, he mentioned something about the money that he'd won, and it was like $70 million or something this year, some crazy total. But he talked about being a good steward with that money in his community and making sure that, you know, that that his community felt some of the impact of some of the great things that he's done. And, the other thing that you can tell, Danny, that's not lost on Scotty Scheffler is the influence that comes with being world number one and some of the things that he can do and bring to the table because he is that world number one.
I wonder what it means to him to win and you talked about this, the gold medal as opposed to some of the events on the PGA Tour, and which includes a major, the Masters. I wonder where it ranks in the terms of importance to him, and if he was really true and honest about it. Where's the gold medal rank with all the different wins that he had? And he had major wins, obviously, big wins, big tournaments that he won. I wonder where that ranks for him, that gold medal this past year.
Well, Danny, you got to remember, he's the first player ever to win back-to-back Players' Championships, right?
Exactly.
He wins his second Masters. He wins 9 tournaments. But, Danny, every 4 years you get a chance at that. So that would be like the U.S. Open or the Masters coming once every 4 years.
It's
I
incredible.
mean, look, his emotions, he was overcome with emotions when he was on the medal stand, when they played the national anthem. And so I think that pretty much says what you're saying. I mean, it's way up there.
Xander Schauffele gets his first major, the PGA, then wins the British in terrible weather. So that's a huge story this past year too.
I love it. And I love this kid. I love his game. I love his demeanor. I love everything about him. He's kind of a no-nonsense guy. He's got a good sense of humor. What's interesting for me, Danny, and we followed the President's Cup closely, we're getting the President's Cup in St. Louis in 2030, which is going to be unbelievable. But having this player emerge that we knew had the game to be a major champion, but then to finally knock not only one off, but then knock 2 of them off. What he did at the President's Cup was really interesting. Per Jim Furyk in his comments, Jim Furyk said he would get these guys together. Even before the team was selected, he'd get a lot of the people that were in the conversation to be chosen. And he said one person stood out by a long shot, and it was Xander Schauffele. And to your point earlier about Scotty Scheffler, he's quiet. And look, Xander's not a loudmouth. I'm not saying that, but when Xander talked, everybody's head turned.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so there's just people like that, D, that maybe, they're X, this personality or that personality, but they've done so much good playing with their game that they're, they're maybe a little more thoughtful in some of their words and their speech. And so when they do speak, everybody just kind of turns around. And so I think that's what we have with Xander, and he looks like another alpha.
So another major story, Rory McIlroy missed from 30 inches at the U.S. Open, his par putt going away at the par 3 16th. Then he missed from short range again. This time it was a downhill slider on the par 4 in the 18th, and then Bryson DeChambeau with the amazing sand shot knocks in the putt. He wins the U.S. Open. Really tough to see that happen to Rory again.
Danny, it really was. Here's one thing that's interesting just about the 18th hole itself, because Rory missed about the same length putt that Bryson made to win the championship. But Danny, those 2 putts were the only thing similar about them the two were that they were both putts and that they were both on the same green. Rory's putt was like glass and broke hard from left to right, and Bryson's was straight uphill and didn't have much break in it at all. And so 2 totally different putts, but 18 is not where Rory fell off the tracks, in my opinion. It's a really, really short miss on 16. I was so stunned. I can still remember that. I think you and I were either together or we text immediately
Both
when
shocked.
that happened,
Yeah.
where it was shock. I mean, Danny, it's under 30 inches long. He's leading the National Open. He's won 4 major championships already and well accomplished all over the world. And for that sort of miss, I don't know what to say. And that putt was not hard. Look, they're all hard when you're trying to win a U.S. Open. But in terms of putts, it's 30 inches long and it's dead straight. It's not a hard putt.
How about this? The American Express doesn't typically invite an amateur player, but University of Alabama sophomore Nick Dunlap not only got invited, but he also made the cut. Then he wins the tournament, and it's kind of a story that's kind of, to me, flown under the radar, but an amateur going on a big tournament and winning his first time on tour.
100%, Danny. Hadn't happened in 33 years. The last to do it was Scott Verplank. Was the last to do it. So it's really, really, no, it probably was Phil Mickelson was the last to do it. But two people had done it, Danny, since I was on tour. I think Scott Verplank did it in 1985, and then I think Phil Mickelson went on to do it in the later 80s.
And you were in that tournament.
I was in both of those tournaments,
okay.
And I saw those. But here's the interesting story about Nick Dunlap to me. He won another championship this year, Danny. This young man came... Well, he wins as an amateur. That's ridiculous. But then he wins another championship later on in the year. So it says a lot about this game. Here's what else it says, Danny. Don't sleep on these kids that are playing college golf.
I was just going to say that. And go ahead.
Yeah, go out and watch somebody. I mean, Ludwig Adberg had just, finished number one at PGA Tour University down at Texas A&M.
Texas Tech. And, I mean, this kid's already in the top 10 in the world. I mean, so, folks, if you get a chance to sneak out of some sort of college tournament, there's a likelihood that you're watching a major champion and maybe even a World Golf Hall of Famer in that field. So at this time of year, we're seeing a ton of attention with the transfer portal and NIL with football.
Yeah.
It's happening in the game of golf. It's trickling down into these sports that you may not be paying attention to. But in the game of golf, I just read an article about it the other day.
Yeah,
it's just enormous how much of the transfer portal is taking a part of what we're seeing with college golf. It's incredible.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah,
right. It's just bound to happen because you get these wealthy college boosters, Danny, that want whatever they can get to the University of Oklahoma or Oklahoma State or USC, wherever
Wake
it is.
Forest.
Wake Forest, and they're going to try to do whatever they can to get the best players to play there, to make their university look good, to win a national championship, to have a great player come out of there and represent that university as he moves forward. What's interesting to me that you never saw in my generation is you're going to see guys that get on the PGA Tour that might have gone to 3 different colleges.
Right. It's incredible.
Insane. It's just crazy.
That's Jay. I'm Dan. We're talking about some of the top stories in the world of golf this past year. New Year's just about right here with us. It's happy holidays, everybody, as we come from the CarShield Studios. And Golf with Jay Delsing is presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use a K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
Welcome to the Corn Dunes Golf Course.
I would like to welcome you all to the Corn Dunes Qualifier. The winner of today's tournament will get an automatic bid in the big banana.
There's the anglers.
I'm from the great state of Oklahoma, oil man by trade, lover by persistence, and golfer by anointment.
The metal irons. Real golf wives.
What are you doing?
The wind's picking up.
Are you going to go down a club?
I don't know, but this breeze feels amazing on my Botox.
Denzel Washington.
We've all seen you putt. I don't need that black magic voodoo nonsense that's in your putter to affect my putters.
Jesus Chips.
There's 2 things I love. It's golf and the Lord. So let's get to blessing.
Johnny Longo and the Pindicate.
The prize money, 10 times that of any other scramble tournament. I mean, it's like the live tour of scramble tournaments.
Scramble. the first golf comedy TV series ever.
Now available on Amazon Prime Video.
Hey, Jay Delsing here, and I know I speak for all of we golfers. We're always looking to try to improve our game. For me, that means I go to one place, and that one place is Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood. Tom DeGrand opened his family business in 1975 with a goal of providing St. Louis with the finest in golf equipment, instruction, and technology. Whether you need a new rangefinder, your first set of clubs, or anything else you can think of, Pro-Am Golf has just what you're looking for. If you're a scratch handicap or you carry a 20 handicap, come visit Pro-Am Golf and inquire about a lesson from Tom DeGrand. He's been fixing golf swings and making St. Louis better at golf for over 40 years. Go get your gear, lessons, or anything golf-related where I go, and that's Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood. You can also visit them online at Pro-Am Golf USA. That's ProAmGolfUSA.com. It's Pro-Am Golf, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Paul Lazinger, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
I am delighted to welcome Folds of Honor to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney and his team donate 91% of all funds directly to these scholarships. And oh, by the way, to date, 52,000 of these life-changing scholarships have been awarded since 2007. 45% of those 52,000 scholarships have been awarded to minority recipients. So join the Folds of Honor team today and donate at foldsofhonor.com.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing, brought to you by Car Shield and Doherty Business Solutions. Every Sunday morning from 8 to 10. It features top guests, tips from a PGA Tour player, and the latest news and notes from around the world of golf. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you and your company struggling trying to keep up with all of your city, county, and tax state filings, Secretary of State, Department of Revenue, and FCC tax responsibilities? Well, help is on the way. Compliance Solutions is here to relieve your pain. They can prepare, file, and pay each and every one of these for you. As the industry leader, Compliance Solutions will customize a plan just for you and have you covered from start to finish. Founder and CEO Mark Lambert believes it's far more important for you to be spending time with your customers and growing your business instead of being inundated with the never-ending regulatory nightmares. Wes Johnson is the Executive Vice President, and his personal cell is 214-226-7813. Call today and be prepared to get some good old-fashioned customer service. Compliance Solutions will get you out of the weeds and back into the middle of the fairway. That number again is 214-226-7813.
Hopefully everyone had a great and Merry Christmas as we approach the new year, and we're talking about on Golf with Jay Delsing some of the top stories this past year. Maybe we'll take a look ahead as well and what lies ahead in 2025. We're coming to you from the Car Shield Studios, and we're presented by Doherty Business Solutions. I got one kind of off the beaten path that I want to throw at you, but I thought I was just...
I love off the beaten path. I hit my ball off the beaten path a lot.
We all do, and every listener has too. I love this one, though, but Robert McIntyre, he wins the Scottish Open for a second tour win in 5 starts. But him winning the Scottish, being from there, the emotions that he had, his dad on the bag.
Yeah,
I thought that was awesome.
Danny, what about, so the Scottish Open, for those that don't know, precedes, it's a week right before the British Open. And this is a true Scotsman. He played on a golf course not far from his hometown. He had his own press conference scheduled through the R&A on that Wednesday, which he told them ahead of time, I'm going to be late. And they're like, you're going to be late? How do you know you're going to be late already? He goes, because the party will not have ended yet.
Yes.
And that is in true Scott style, man. Those guys, they love to celebrate. And why wouldn't you?
Well, we were talking about Keegan Bradley earlier in the show and being the captain of the Ryder Cup, but he won the BMW. He rocketed up the FedEx Cup standings, was rewarded with a President's Cup captain's pick, and he goes 2-1-0. And just, I think it's a great story because if you watch the Netflix series Full Swing, you saw him not get selected to the previous Ryder Cup, how that was devastating. They had behind the scenes, the cameras in his kitchen when he found out, and he was devastated with that, and now he has a chance to step up again on the international stage.
Danny, what did you think about that portion of that Netflix series with it was just a little odd. Maybe it was the way that Netflix handled it.
I loved it personally. It was hard to watch. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But if you want to go behind the scenes, that was behind the scenes.
Yeah, and then because the whole Zach Johnson thing, it's almost like they didn't show how hard it was for Zach to make that call. They mentioned it, but then they showed a lot of Keegan, and man, you want to talk about somebody that was gutted. Danny, he was gutted. I mean, you could tell that he was just completely deflated when he got that news.
Tell our listeners what it would mean and try to put it in perspective if you get the call to make it, or in this case, you get the call that you're not on the team. Like, you know, you see, like, I was thinking of Hard Knocks, okay? Yeah. Hard Knocks on HBO. And they're going through training camp. Yep. And some kid that is trying to make the team finds out, and he's the last guy cut. And it's tough watching that. But this is, to me, it's different because you're talking about established players already on the PGA Tour, guys that have been around for a long time, guys that have won majors, and finding out, man, you're not good enough to make it. I just thought it was more gut-wrenching in watching that than some of the other things I've watched.
Yeah, no doubt. D, I thought it was great. I thought to get back, the point I was trying to make was that I know Zach Johnson really, really well, Danny. That was a hard phone call for him to make. And his wife was a big part of it. His whole family was a big part of it. And that was difficult. And I don't think they necessarily did Zach justice on that. But to your point, watching and listening, I mean, it was almost like, you could almost feel your stomach churn and you just get upset. But from a player's point of view, you always, here's one of the things, Danny, that I have loved the most about playing professional golf my whole life. And there were times I hated it, but for the most part, especially as I aged, what I loved the most about it was I looked in the mirror. When things didn't go well, when I missed a cut, I looked in the mirror. It was on me. And if you were to talk to Keegan, he'd say, yeah, I probably could have easily been chosen, but I didn't get myself into the top 6 to take that off the table. Because, Danny, if you play well enough, dude, they can't keep you out.
Right.
And that's what I loved about that. Like, I can remember I was playing on it was the Nationwide Tour at the time, what's the Corn Ferry now. And I was in this category when you're 48 and 49, you get status, you get some starts out there to get you ready to play on the Champions Tour. So I'm like, hell, I'm playing. So I need to play. I play some PGA Tour stuff, but I focused on that. And so there was a rule that if you finished in the top, at that time, the top 75 on that Nationwide got you exempt for the following year. And that improved my status quite a bit. So when I was 48, I made sure I was in the top 75. I played well. I'll never forget, I had a tournament somewhere out in Southern California where I wound up finishing, I don't know, 4th or 5th or 6th or something like that secured me enough money. And we had some weird thing happen with the PGA Tour and the Jacksonville office where they wanted to change that. But they didn't want to. I said, look, guys, change it at the beginning of the year, but you can't change it now. This has been, we've all set our sights up and focused on that, and everybody agreed with me, but they had this weird idea that we're going to change it next year. Don't change it the following year. I had no trouble. Listen, I hated not staying in some of the goal sets that I've tried to achieve. But at the end of the day, Danny, it was all on me, man. I didn't play well enough. And to me, I just don't like these conversations where people are like, oh man, the coach is not this or this, and I'm not. And that sounds like excuses to me.
So we're talking about Keegan Bradley. We talked a lot about that with Nathan Charnes and being the captain or being a player. So from your perspective, would it be better to be a player in the Ryder Cup or being the guy that is the captain?
Oh, player. Because you have a say in the outcome, a real say in the outcome, because you have your hands on your clubs. That is, Danny, that is the ultimate. And I think anybody would tell you that. Now, what's next?
Being
next
the captain.
Yeah, next best is being the captain for sure. But, oh, man, plus, D, well, hell, you played college sports. You're a competitor. You know what that's like. You get those juices flowing. You get those nerves. I mean, there's nothing like that.
No, there isn't.
It is like it gets you out of bed. It's exciting, and it just gets that churn. Oh man, that's why I look like I do though, because somehow I really like that feeling. And it is. Look at me.
You talked about what was the Nationwide, now the Korn Ferry, and I think this is a great story. Matt McCarty won 3 times on the Korn Ferry Tour to earn a 3-victory promotion, and then he captures his first PGA Tour title in the Black Desert Championship in October. Those are the stories you want to hear about and that you enjoy and that you love, and you're pulling for these guys to get that first PGA Tour win, get a card, whatever the case may be. But that was one of the great stories that kind of flew under the radar this last year.
Absolutely. No, great catch, because I was going to bring that up too. And the fact that the PGA Tour made its way back to was it Utah?
Yes.
Right? It's Utah Desert, the high desert in Utah. Because I think we hadn't been there in over 30 something years, Danny. So yeah, and I mean, there's so many good young players. I mean, we were talking about this off air, and you start thinking about the PGA Tour, and the PGA Tour is condensing, right? So there's less cards available, and it's like, wow. Why? We've got so many guys that are looking for that opportunity. Danny, maybe a good bounce here and there, maybe a putt that lips in instead of lipping out, that gives them the confidence just in the right spot that propels them into who knows what for their career. And the PGA Tour has got a long history of that happening time and time again. So I think the McCarthy story is wonderful. There's a lot more out there. The Nick Dunlop story, young man from college that comes out and wins a PGA Tour event, they're out there. You just got to find them.
How do you judge when you're watching and you see these scores that are coming in, and they are ridiculous in terms of how far under par the guys on the Korn Ferry are, and then trying to compare it what's happening with the PGA Tour, where a winner might be just, let's say, 8 or 9 under. Yeah. Course is really tough, and the scores are low, but they're not as low as what you see on the Korn Ferry. How do you judge that when you're looking at that? How do you take that in?
Well,
it may be a tough question. Hopefully you're following me.
No, it's a good question. I mean, you look at, first of all, winning's winning. Whether you're shooting, 25 under or 10 under par, we still have to win. But to your point, Danny, those golf courses demand differences, right? A lot of the times when you're watching a 25 under score, take the Boise course, for example. It's a short golf course with no rough. Every par 5 is reachable. And Danny, the scores are in the 25, 26 under every year. Also, D, Boise, people may not know this, Boise is at altitude. So these guys smash it already. Now they smash it plus because of the altitude. But then you go to a golf course like the one that they play at in Indiana, where they'll play the Tour Championship.
Yeah. I know
Victoria Falls.
That's it.
And Danny, and those courses, that golf course is absolutely brutal. And so you sit there and go, okay, well, this young man just finished and shot 63, 62 to win at Boise, and then goes down to Indiana and shoots a 68, 67. Like, how would you compare those? Oftentimes, those 68 and 67s are better rounds than the lower scores, even though the numbers don't match up. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Because they're just more demanding. There's so much more. There's so much more challenge. There's so many more obstacles on the golf course, and some of the shots are super demanding.
That's Jay. I'm Dan. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. Earlier in the show, if you missed it, go back and listen to the podcast. But Nathan Charnes was our guest, the VP of the PGA of America. Our final segment is coming up. We'll talk about what we're looking forward to locally, also on the national scene. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions, and happy holidays. Thanks for listening to the show.
Are you and your company struggling trying to keep up with all of your city, county, and tax state filings, Secretary of State, Department of Revenue, and FCC tax responsibilities? Well, help is on the way. Compliance Solutions is here to relieve your pain. They can prepare, file, and pay each and every one of these for you. As the industry leader, Compliance Solutions will customize a plan just for you and have you covered from start to finish. Founder and CEO Mark Lambert believes it's far more important for you to be spending time with your customers and growing your business instead of being inundated with the never-ending regulatory nightmares. Wes Johnson is the Executive Vice President, and his personal cell is 214-226-7813. Call today and be prepared to get some good old-fashioned customer service. Compliance Solutions will get you out of the weeds and back into the middle of the fairway. That number again is 214-226-7813.
Welcome to the Corn Dunes Golf Course.
I would like to welcome you all to the Corn Dunes Qualifier. The winner of today's tournament will get an automatic bid in the big banana.
There's the anglers.
I'm from the great state of Oklahoma, oil man by trade, lover by persistence, and golfer by anointment.
The metal irons. Real golf wives.
What are you doing?
The wind's picking up.
Are you going to go down a club?
I don't know, but this breeze feels amazing on my Botox.
Denzel Washington.
We've all seen you putt. I don't need that black magic voodoo nonsense that's in your putter to affect my putters.
Jesus Chips.
There's two things I love. It's golf and the Lord. So let's get to blessing.
Johnny Longo and the Pindicate.
The prize money, 10 times that of any other scramble tournament. I mean, it's like the live tour of scramble tournaments.
Scramble, the first golf comedy TV series ever.
Now available on Amazon Prime Video.
Have you noticed how expensive it is to attend or send your child to college? It's nearly impossible not to be blown away at the current cost. And oh yeah, we both know it's only going to cost more next year. Well, get ready for a game-changing solution for you, your child, and your entire family. Have you heard of the Evans Scholarship Program? This is a 120-year-old program that's been sending qualifying young men and women to college absolutely free. That's right, for no cost to you. In 2024 alone, 1,130 men and women are receiving this scholarship across 24 of the finest universities in our country. To date, over 12,000 men and women have graduated using the Evans Scholarship, with the average GPA being 3.3, and the graduating rate for these scholars is an impressive 95.6%. To qualify, you must have a strong caddy record, outstanding grades, excellent character, and a verified financial need. To find out more, visit WGAESF.org.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. Brought to you by CarShield and Daugherty Business Solutions. Every Sunday morning from 8 to 10. It features top guests, tips from a PGA Tour player, and the latest news and notes from around the world of golf. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Heading down the stretch on Golf with Jay Delsing. We can say it now. Happy New Year, everybody. It's almost here, but happy holidays to everybody and also, well, thanks for tuning into the show every Sunday. That's Jay. I'm Dan. Golf with Jay Delsing coming to you from the CarShield studios, and we're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. Okay, I teased the fact that there's going to be some big stories locally, nationally in the game of golf as we look ahead to 2025. And I think one of the things we're going to hear more and more about is Normandy Reimagined, which is so important to our community and certainly a place that holds a special place in your heart. Yeah, absolutely, Danny. The Normandy Reimagined is the great Jack Nicklaus coming in town, donating his services, redesigning the oldest, I think it's the oldest public golf course west of the Mississippi, Danny. And what's really super cool about that is that this is going to be, besides being a great golf course, this is going to be a massive community asset for the North County area. And this is an area that needs some help, as we know. And it's what's neat about this, Danny, is that there's a lot of different entities that are going to be happening here. It's going to be, I think, the headquarters of the First Tee. There's where they're going to run a lot of their programming out of. There's going to be a caddy house there where the Western Golf Association, John Kaskowski from Chicago and the Western Golf Association has made sure that there's going to be caddies here, and that when we're also raising money, Danny, so that there's an endowment associated with this facility so that when you play this great track, it's going to cost you around $40, and that you're going to be responsible to pay your caddy a tip. And this foundation that we're trying to raise and establish will fund the caddy program. And Danny, this ties into the Western Golf Association and the Evans Scholarship, which is so huge. We both love this. We both support it. Our buddy Steve Wedling, our buddy Pat Riley, they're both Western Golf Association directors here. They do a lot for junior golf. They do a lot for golf in general. And what we're trying to do is get this word out to men and women, young men and women, that these scholarships are available, college paid for, man. I mean, so we're committing to that on this show. You and I are committing to it personally to do some things. We were with Steve Wedling last year where they did the Caddies to College program over at Norwood. This coming year in 25, it's going to be at Algonquin with Brett Moomey, and I'm sure our faces and our influence, whatever we can do, are going to be there to try to help them. But those are some things, Danny, that this game just keeps providing for, that we need to let those in our community know about so that they can enjoy some of the benefits of something like the Evans Scholarship, man. You were saying last week on the show that locally no one took advantage of the Evans Scholarship, and I just couldn't believe that we didn't have 1 or 2, 5, 10 kids, because, again, we're trying to push this as much as we can.
Yeah.
The scholarship will provide you with housing, and it's going to provide you with your books. It's going to provide you a scholarship, and no one's taking advantage of that. I just find that hard to believe.
In the St. Louis area and the Kansas City area, none of our applicants got approved because they didn't meet the requirements. And one of the requirements is you have to have 100 loops in 4 years. So that's
easy.
I mean, that's, for
25 a summer, that's nothing.
That's not a lot. You also think about there's the financial hardship that has to be met. And then there's also a requirement that you need to be a good student. You need to have a certain GPA at whatever high school you attend. But Danny, I believe that it's much more the awareness that we're missing out on and not the necessarily the applicant. So that's what we're going to find out, and that's going to be fun to find out. We're going to continue to push it. I've got some ideas. We had a young man, Logan Forrester. I know you remember him, was on the show.
He was great.
He is down at University of Missouri at the Evans House now, enjoying the Evans Scholarship. He earned it, and I'd love to, I'm going to kind of poke him a little bit and see, what his thoughts are on how we can kind of get more of kids more like him to know about it.
I think one of the stories that we'll see this summer, especially when the BMW Championship is being played on the PGA Tour, we're going to hear more about that and the preparation that's happening at Belle Reve Country Club, because the following year, it's right here in St. Louis, and that's something that will be talked about an awful lot. The preparation going into 26, but you're going to hear a lot about it in 2025. Agreed?
Oh, hell yeah, Danny. Plus, we're going to get our good buddy Mike Tucker, who's the director of golf at Belle Reve on. But here's another tie-in to the Western Golf Association. All the money that they raise for that goes to the Evans Scholarship Program around the country. And so that's a sizable amount of money, and hats off to them, for sponsoring, and the BMW folks for sponsoring a playoff event on the PGA Tour schedule every year. And what I love about the BMW, Danny, is it moves, right? Last year, it was at
Castle Pines,
in Denver. And in 2 years, it'll be in St. Louis in various spots. It goes to Indianapolis and things like that. So I think that's really cool. It also gives a lot of opportunity for fellow golf lovers to get to see golf at its highest level, man. And I mean, you could have got a better champion than Keegan Bradley last year, man, at Castle Pines. That was cool.
Okay, it's a Ryder Cup year talking about Keegan Bradley. Let's go to the national look at some of the big storylines. We're talking off air. I mean, anytime you have a Ryder Cup year, it's going to be talked about because guys are moving up and down leaderboards and where they're at and money and all that kind of stuff and who's going to make the team. So it doesn't matter if you're watching an event in April, May, June, it's going to be talked about like, hey, this guy's moving up or this guy's moving down, and these are the top six, and this is, if it ended today, who's part of the Ryder Cup. So you're going to have that story throughout the summer.
Oh, Danny, 100%, and I think it's great.
I do too.
I mean, I think it's great, and I love the Ryder Cup, man. I've attended a couple. It's nothing like you've ever experienced in terms of the patriotism and the red, white, and blue, and oh my gosh, it is something. And the fact that this dude is going to be played in New York area, it'll be insane. It'll be much. You and I, our butts will be firmly planted in front of a TV somewhere, and we will not get up.
Well, the other thing is, will Keegan Bradley play, or will he be the captain? So watching him very closely this summer and just seeing how he plays and what he does. Is he the captain? Is he going to play? That's the sidebar to this story as you move along this summer.
How cool is that story?
I love it.
I mean, and what does that say about Keegan Bradley at 47 years old that he's already right in the middle of the mix for this thing, If he goes out, Danny, this is so interesting. If he goes out at the beginning of the year and knocks off another tournament, I mean, especially something like a major or something where the points are multiplied, man, that is really going to be a compelling story. So, I mean, we're gonna on my PGA Tour golf app. I got Keegan Bradley starred because I want to follow him every single week.
I don't know if you agree with this. I think the number one storyline, at least initially, will be Scottie Scheffler, and can he continue to dominate the PGA Tour?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for whatever reason, professional golf, Danny, does really, really well with alpha dogs and lead dogs out there, and Scotty has done nothing for us to think that he can't continue it. He's a young man. He's strong. He's working on his game all the time. And what's really interesting is that the control he has over his golf ball with his hitting is Tiger-esque. And I never thought we'd have anything that I never thought we'd be able to mention anyone's name in that. And you know what's interesting, D? If you look at Tiger Woods' swing and you look at Scottie Scheffler's swing, you'd go, give me Tiger.
Yeah,
you know what
sure.
I mean? It just looks, and again, I'm sure Tiger's records are going to remain well intact, and it'll be neat to see if Scottie can make a charge like that. But it's all fun, man. It's all fun, and it's just all great theater and fun to watch.
Some of the theater I want to talk about here as we head down the stretch of Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. I think an emerging guy, and we saw it at the really at the end of last year, and then in international competition. I think he could have a huge season as Tom Kim. I love watching this kid play.
Yeah. Well, we've also seen that big stages don't make him crumble.
Yes.
Right? He's the thing that is so incredible about him, Danny, is how young he is. You know, he kind of walked back some of the things that he said in the President's Cup where he kind of was, I'd say, immaturely kind of stirring the pot. And hats off to him, right? I mean, everybody can go, hey, we're going to give you a pass. We understand how young you are. We understand you got your juices flowing. This kind of stuff happens, but he's got a ton of game, and I'm just waiting for him to take that next step, and that next step is obviously a major championship. He's got the game. Does he have the inner maturity yet? I don't know. It'll be fun to watch.
All right, final storyline, and it's a storyline to me every major. It'll be another storyline this year, especially with what happened at the U.S. Open with Rory McIlroy. Can he finally get one more, two more, three more, whatever the case may be? But it'll be a storyline. It is every single year.
You know, Danny, I want it to happen. I love the guy. I've met him a couple of times. He's as good a guy as there is out on tour. He's genuine. He's got a lot of game. All of the data and all of the numbers and everything says, it's just too hard to win after 35, a major championship. It'll be interesting. Very few have, but I'm pulling for him. He also, Danny, needs to win the Masters for the career Grand Slam. You know, that would be super, super cool. Jordan Spieth, what does Jordan need? Jordan Spieth needs the PGA championship to finish the career Grand Slam for himself, and then Brooks Koepka is 2 legs away. So, I don't know, lots to look at. We've got Liv out there hanging around, Danny.
I was just going to say that. That's the biggest story. What am I saying? That's got to be the PGA Tour coming together with Liv.
You know, we hear a ton of things. You and I have heard a ton of things. We don't comment on them anymore because we have no idea. But there's talk that there's a deal done. There's talk about legislation that has to get passed. We don't know. As soon as we know, we'll break it down. We'll try to make some sense of it. Right now, it doesn't make any sense.
Happy holidays, buddy, and Happy New Year to you. It's always fun doing the show. We do it 52 weeks out of the year. We always come up with something. It's the dead of winter. It doesn't matter. We're doing the show.
Absolutely. This is the time where we need to dig deep and come up with golf stuff, man. And, hey, we got sim leagues.
Yeah.
We got Elevate Golf. We got family golf. There's plenty of places to go out and hit some balls and work on your game. Don't sit on the couch this winter. Men and women, get off the couch and hit her straight, St. Louis.
This is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center located in Kirkwood. Our motto is play your best golf. We have the best instruction for every skill level. 2 female instructors along with our 8 PGA instructors. We're there for the kids and the adults who are starting to play and trying to refine their game. Family Golf and Learning Center features a double-decker driving range, grass tees, and a short game area, along with indoor simulators and a performance center. That's not all. Don't forget about our Back 9 Bar and Grill. Find out how we can help you and your family. Head to FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. It's Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf.
Do you remember the golden rule? I'm sure you do, but just in case it goes like this. Treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. At People's National Bank, that one statement is the cornerstone of what this bank is all about. Locally owned, with 23 locations in Southern Illinois and the metropolitan St. Louis area, People's National Bank parlays a robust menu of commercial or personal banking services you could possibly need with a friendly yet hardworking Midwestern attitude. Maybe you just want to do business with a bank whose entire team lives in the same neighborhoods as we do. If you're like me and doing business with someone you trust is important to you, then People's National Bank is the bank for you. Jason Rantham, local president, is here for you to call, and he'll answer any questions you may have. His personal cell is 314-974-2243. You can also find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com. People's National Bank is here for all of your banking needs. Are you tired of watching your golf scores go up every year? Despite new equipment and even a couple lessons, you still fight that slice or your inability to get that ball up and down out of the bunker? Well, get ready to experience better golf with Elevate Golf. At Elevate Golf, we're changing the way golfers practice with our innovative and data-driven approach to learning and, most importantly, improving. We have an array of membership options where you can find the perfect fit for your golf, your lifestyle, and your budget. Whether you start in our full-service gym, the short game area that has real sand bunker, or one of our 7 TrackMan simulator bays, the team at Elevate Golf will do a complete assessment of you and your game, which is crucial because if you don't know where you're starting from, it's nearly impossible to attain a goal or a new level. Call us today at 636-265-0557 or visit us at elevategolf.com.